this edition of Raise High at GW. We'll hear from men's basketball's Jamie and Christian to get an update on how his team is navigating more COVID disruption. Women's Hoops head coach Caroline McCombs will preview the A-10 season. And the newest coach at GW, volleyball alumna Katie REIFERT, stops by to talk about leading her former program. Happy New Year, sports fans, and welcome to another edition of Raise High at GW. Unfortunately, we are on Zoom this week and not at our typical home tonic, the official pre- and post-game host for GW fans in the district. We hope to be back for our next episode, but we are ready to go on Zoom, nevertheless, with head men's basketball coach Jamie and Christian. I'm Kevin Burke. Coach, we've had a heck of a year, and of course, we would be on Zoom for the first one in 2022. How you doing?
It's great to be on here. It's great to be healthy. It's good our team's getting back, being healthy. Just excited about getting back out there on the floor.
Yeah, let's talk about it. You haven't played a game since December 13th. We're now approaching over 3 weeks since your team's been on the floor due to some postponements. What's this been like here these last couple of weeks as you get your team ready for conference play?
Well, some of that was exam period, which is a pretty natural stretch for college athletes. Here at GW, we have 10 days of exams. So we're always trying to prepare for that. And that's why we've played so many games early in the year. I think we were about 2 games ahead of everybody else, just to account for the 10 days of exams there. So, and then we would have had a few days there for Christmas break, the 22nd we're going to give our players off the 23rd to the 22nd anyway. So we've been away a bit, but this really hit us at a good time where we're able to kind of get healthy at the beginning of league play. And, again, we're excited about the opportunity to get there on the floor and put our entire unit out there together.
Are you in any sense frustrated because you built in those breaks with exams and Christmas, but you wanted to get the UMES game in, you wanted to get conference play going? It seemed like your team was building some momentum. Is there any sense of frustration here of having to go through this again?
Not really. I mean, for me, we've been through this before and we really responded well. We had a 37-day layoff last year, really came out and played good basketball on the other side of that. When a lot of teams might have just quit the season or failed, we really played good basketball the last couple of weeks last year. So in some regard, I feel like we have good experience here. We've got guys like James Bishop in the locker room, Noel Brown, who played huge roles for us, Hunter Dean. They played huge roles for us a year ago coming out of this. So they kind of know how we're going to respond and how we're going to, come out and attack this thing. Definitely feel like we had some momentum going. And, I can't tell you over the last 2 years, anytime I feel like we've had some good momentum, something has happened, whether it's an insurrection or a pandemic. But, that's kind of the way life goes. Sometimes you feel like you're starting to figure some things out. It's going to get slowed down a little bit. And it's our responsibility to continue to build momentum. And, a lot of times building momentum is coming through adversity. When you're building momentum, climbing Mount Everest, it's not exactly an easy road climbing up there. It's rocky, it's snowy, it's cold. You're fighting the oxygen. So anytime you're climbing anything or trying to battle to become better than yourself, there's going to be a journey like that. And just trying to arm our guys with the right kind of mental mindset to be able to do that. And working with them, I feel like they've been in a great place to go and attack it.
Yeah, you talk about as a coach wanting to control the controllables. How have you attacked that here over these last couple of weeks when you haven't necessarily been able to get together physically as a team? How have you tried to stay that connectivity you talk about?
Yeah, what a great time. You talk about being connected. We had, for a couple of workouts, we had 3 or 4 guys in our workouts. And I just thought it was a great opportunity for us to really focus in individually on what we need each guy to improve on. And so we just tried to make that about everything, really. And, looking at that, we had those few guys there. So we got 3 or 4 guys in at a time. This week, we've gotten up to about 8 guys in the workouts now. So, just trying to use that time to maximize their learning. A lot of times you have a great plan going in through the summer, going into the fall. But the year grows on itself, and a chance to look at a guy like Brendan Adams and say, hey, man, these are the areas where you're really excelling at. Let's really try to do a great job there. Looking at guys who might be struggling in an area and being able to redirect and really focus a workout or a practice towards how we can get them better there. We've also started looking at some documentaries like Man in the Arena, Tom Brady. We felt like, this time when we're out, what a great opportunity to learn how to become a great team and to watch some of these documentaries and stuff. So we've done like a little summary series where we've watched some of those and the guys have had great dialogue of watching these teams. I think one of the things that we don't recognize, growing up, we didn't have as many channels, not as many options. So we would watch basketball, we would watch baseball, whatever it was. But these guys aren't getting a chance all the time to really see a full opportunity, right? They're looking at highlights, they're looking at small snippets of it. So, being able to say, hey, we're going to take an hour out every day. We're going to watch a different documentary. We're going to watch some highlight. We're going to watch a game film and really discuss it as a team. I thought we got a lot better. And our goal was when we kind of went down and got the bad news, we weren't going to be able to play Maryland Shore. Well, let's just get better at something every single day. And I feel like we've done that.
And last year, I think you took this pause to almost reinvent your offense. So is there anything X's and O's that you're looking at here to come out hopefully this week and be able to play?
Not really. A year ago, we came on the other side of this. We had a few guys that didn't return. We had a couple of guys that took a COVID pause. And so it really caused us to have to change our offense. We also didn't have enough scholarship players last year. I think we finished with 6 scholarship players on the roster last year. So there was definitely a need to change the tempo and how we're going to play. This year, not the same though. I love how we're playing right now. I want to keep our physicality that we played with the last few weeks. That's my biggest concern coming out of this little bit of a pause here, is that physicality we started playing with on the backboards and how we're defending. I think we're top 40 effective field goal defense in the country right now. So we want to continue to be able to be great in that area. I thought our offense was really starting to come around as we started hitting some of our game day goals in terms of number of passes and 3-point shots. So we just wanted to hold in those areas, but also recognize that, we hadn't been a great defensive rebounding team all year. So let's make sure we focus on how we maybe can become a little bit better defensive rebounding team. Last year we were making pivots and changing. This year we're really just saying, let's get better at these couple of areas. And I feel like when we're able to do that, we're going to be a challenging team come conference play.
And I know I speak for everybody in Buff and Blue, where we really look forward to seeing you guys out on the floor sooner rather than later. Coach, appreciate the time, and we'll talk to you at Tonic again next time here on Race High GW.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for your time.
All right, when we come back, head coach of the women's basketball program, Caroline McCombs, talks about her non-conference slate in her first season here in Foggy Bottom. That's next.
The Afghanistan Papers are a collection of documents confidentially asking people what went wrong during the war. The public has a right to know what happened.
How do you think you pronounce that?
Mananalu.
Mananalu.
Mana to me means strength, power, honor.
That was awesome.
I had life-threatening bleeding in my brain. But thanks to the virtual reality technology at GW Hospital, my surgeons were able to look inside my brain and plan for a successful surgery. It's remarkable that I woke up and ran 5 miles this morning. I would tell GW Hospital, thank you for giving me new life.
For life's defining moments, the George Washington University Hospital, defining medicine.
Raise high. This isn't just our battle cry, it's our call, our challenge. Because when you were called to Washington, you were called to higher expectations, to a higher standard. We are called here to advance knowledge, to serve society, to change the world. This is the George Washington University, and what we make is history. So stand up, be bold, take risks, press on, push harder, raise high.
Welcome back to Race High at GW, joined now by women's basketball head coach Caroline McCombs, who just completed a 7-6 non-conference slate in her first season at Foggy Bottom. And we wish we were at Tonic, the official pre- and post-game host for GW fans in the district. But Coach, we're in our respective houses. How are you doing? How would you evaluate non-conference so far as we get ready for A10 play?
Yeah, well, it's great to see you and good to be back, and definitely talking about, our non-conference season. We really embraced that non-conference schedule. We know it was very competitive, and I think it provided us an opportunity to learn, to grow, to get better. We had some great home contests, weren't on the road so much, in the non-conference action, except for really, our trip to Puerto Rico. But I thought we got a lot better. We had a lot of different players step up throughout the season. Anytime, you're coaching a new team and obviously here a new program, there's just so much to learn at the beginning of the season. And I think the only way to do that is you just go through those games. And, really thankful for the opportunities that we had to play a 13-game non-conference schedule and just, get better along the way.
You mentioned the fact that there's been so many names that have stepped up in different games. I mean, you look at your box score, there's nobody that's averaging more than 10 points. And, you have a walk-on in Maxine Engel in your last game against Lehigh before Christmas, named A10 Rookie of the Week. It was almost a situation where she had to come in. What does it mean to you like that, where basically everybody's been called upon at some point and they've been able to deliver thus far?
Yeah, we've had a variety of players contribute, throughout the season, and that's been great, from newcomers to veterans. You look at from Nia Locke to Sheslani, two girls that, came in as juniors, and they're just, continuing to get better in their roles. You have players like Maiwa and Faith that have been on the roster, Essence, that have been able to be key contributors. We bring Ty Moore, Kiara Frames, and Sierra Bellin, as the grad transfers, and they've been filling in their roles, so everybody has had to step up in different opportunities. And that's what I think makes us hard to scout and to guard, is that different people can step up. Obviously we haven't had a full roster to this point in time. We're just like everybody's available on the same day. And if that would happen, that would be terrific. We'll be at our very, very best when we have that opportunity. But until then, until that day happens, different players, have to step up. They're called upon to do different things. The scoring load is always a little bit different. We try to rely on our defense, which is something that we practice, every day. And just, again, can rely on that to keep us in ball games. And obviously we know we have to continue to work on our offensive skills.
Looking at the A10 here, it's going to be your first go around, but you have a good background in terms of figuring out what the A10 was. And what did you know about this league coming into it? And what have you learned, perhaps looking at some of the stuff that these teams have done in the non-conference?
Yeah, I think it's a very competitive league with great coaches, night in and night out. We're going to have our work cut out for us. So just, getting our first dabble, obviously looking at St. Louis a lot, now Richmond coming up, and then we go to Dayton. You just take one game at a time, but just looking at the different coaches, their philosophies, some of the new coaches, you see the players, that they're bringing in to try to take their programs, to the top of the league. And then you have the veteran coaches that kind of have their systems and programs, established. So we definitely, as a new program here, want to continue to build our culture, every day. Every piece to our puzzle is important. Every player is valued. They're key contributors, whether they play, 0 minutes or, they play 30. Our Essence leads us in minutes played at 30 minutes a game. And so, we rely on a lot of different people, every single day. And I think, I'm looking forward to the opportunity to start playing against, this competition.
I feel bad for the coaches that have to scout for your team, because there's so many different options that you can go at. But you had a ton of success in conference play when you were at Stony Brook. I'm pretty sure it was 500 or better every single year. So the importance of conference play obviously sticks with you. What do you say about that in terms of being able to find success in conference play every year?
Yeah, I think, when it gets to this point in the season, coaches really do their best to do their work. So there's going to be elite scouting. All the coaches are going to have, your teams, your players scouted, and it's going to come down to executing, who can do, whose identity is stronger, on that day, who can do what they do better, than their opponent on that day. And so I think, those things matter as you get into conference play. Obviously, this year we're faced with some other variables and who can play, in each game. So having to be able to adapt, to those things and just be fluid and flexible. And so hopefully our roster will be us to be able to provide opportunities for us to be successful in that way.
Have you talked to Coach McEwen at all, or did you, from your previous time with him, have any inkling of what it was like to be in the A10? Have you picked his brain a little bit?
Not necessarily picked his brain, throughout my time here, but just, in years past, just following him and his program and recognizing, this league and the tremendous success that the programs have had, in this league, particularly GW, but just understanding, there's been ebbs and flows with different teams throughout, the A10 history. And, we're looking to get GW back to the top of that.
That's a great lead in. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to look at one of the great moments in program history from back in 2008. Coach McCombs comes back after this break on Raise High at GW.
This is our water, and this is also water, but it's more than that. This is a belief that our oceans are better filled with life than with plastic. So let's start sipping like lives depend on it, because they do. Mananalu, sip for life.
Domino's new oven-baked dips are so new that we made a new commercial about their newness. Try new flavors like our cheesy marinara, baked apple, or hot and melty 5-cheese with our not new but still delicious twists. Carry out Domino's new oven-baked dips and twist combos or any 3-topping pizzas for $7.99 each.
Choose from 12 different specialized master's programs and more than 25 graduate certificates for ultimate customization. You're a business leader in the making, and GW is where your future begins.
Tap into your unique style by creating your custom look with Tailor on Tap. With us, looking and feeling your best is the goal. From picking the perfect fabric to personalizing your stitching, Tailor on Tap knows how to bring your vision to life with exclusive custom clothing available to all. It's time to make your first impression last with Tailor on Tap.
Welcome back to Race High at GW. Kevin Burke with Coach McCombs of the GW Women's Basketball Program. Prior to the break, we teased one of the signature moments of this program. Let's take a deeper look.
Far from home and on the ropes in the second round of the 2008 NCAA tournament, GW Women's Basketball needed to conjure some March Madness versus Cal at Stanford's Maples Pavilion to reach the Sweet 16 for the second consecutive season and extend the careers of a special group of seniors. What happened next is the stuff of legend.
I think all of us had been in those high pressure game situations where we had to shoot that last shot or make that last free throw. And honestly, some games we made those shots, some games we didn't. But I think we had been in situations like that enough times before to know the mindset we needed to have going into that game to be able to make the shot when it counted.
Nationally ranked throughout the season, yet seeded 6th in the Greensboro Regional, GW trailed the 3rd-seeded Bears by 6 points with less than 4 minutes before storming back, led by its vaunted defense and the crunch time heroics of senior Sarah Jo Lawrence.
They come down to Jessica Adair, nice feed to Whitney Allen who converts.
Well, they bring the double and it's a great pass by Adair.
Whitney Allen started the comeback with a layup. Then Jessica Adair knocked in a pair of free throws to pull the Colonials within 2, 53-51. That was still the score in the final minute when the Buff and Blue got the stop that they needed and pushed the ball to Lawrence in transition.
By Parrish, shot clock off. George Washington can tie the game or win it on this possession. Lawrence to the basket, got it! We're tied at 53 with 12 seconds to go and a timeout call.
That's a great job by Joe McEwen not to use a timeout there.
Cal, it seemed, would get the final shot of regulation, but GW's defense came through again, forcing a traveling violation as the Bears tried to call a timeout near the bench.
But a travel is called. Vital travel before she can call a timeout.
Hall of Fame coach Joe McEwen opted not to call a timeout with 6 seconds remaining, and in a brief huddle, All-American Kimberly Beck told her teammates to be ready to crash the glass. Lawrence, once again, was in the right place at the right time.
Here's Beck on the run. Rebound Lawrence. She scores. Game over. George Washington, his second straight Sweet 16 appearance.
I just remember in that moment the amount of focus and how I only saw that square in the basket. I mean, that was it. I heard nothing. It was like the epitome of being focused and tuned in. And I was confident in that shot. I mean, I wasn't thinking anything but this is going in, this is going in. I was thinking those positive affirmations. And boy, I just remember those 2 seconds felt like 30 seconds to me because I was just in the zone.
An epic celebration followed Lawrence's clutch buzzer beater that capped the game-ending 8-0 run and improbably kept the Colonials dancing.
I remember I was just so excited. I had to do something with my feet, with my hands, and I just kind of like high-stepped it backwards. I don't know where that came from, but I just needed to like displace that energy that I felt, that just elation, that joy, just the fact that everyone reacted the way they did. I mean, we all just kind of came together.
The party continued that night through a chartered red-eye flight back to Foggy Bottom, And the next morning, a spirited group of fans and a collection of local media were waiting to welcome the Buff and Blue home. A squad led by a trio of 1,000-point scorers in Lawrence, Beck, and Adair, plus the defensive whiz Allen, would close out its season the following Sunday in Greensboro, North Carolina, with a regional semifinal loss to second-seeded Rutgers, finishing the season 27-7 overall. Today, the members of that tight-knit group remain close, bonded by their shared success in Foggy Bottom, and one of the most unforgettable moments in Buff and Blue history.
That moment gets shown a lot, and I happened to be in that moment, but there were so many moments that my teammates did amazing things to get us there. That moment, it shows my face in it, but I think if you look at the team and our history, it really was a compilation of all of us stepping up when we needed to and getting it done.
Does it get any better than this, Sarah Jo? No, not at all. We'll let you go savor it. Congratulations.
And Coach, obviously you weren't here, but one of your mentors was in the aforementioned Coach McEwen. What goes through your mind when you see a play like that, getting to march and having such a signature moment?
I mean, those are the things that you dream of as a player, as a coach. You know, you lay your head down at the pillow at night and you dream about those moments and those opportunities, you know, to position yourself to be in a moment like that. And that's, you know, why you put in all the work and the hours and the sweat and the tears, you know, and you go to war with your team, you know, every single day. And right, that team was built on veteran leadership. And so Coach trusted his team to make those plays, you know, down the stretch, and just so rewarding for that team of veterans to come away with that.
And then you had your experience last year making March Madness. And do you ever think about that first moment you're going to have when you're able to cut down the nets, hopefully this year in Wilmington?
Absolutely. I mean, again, you have to dream big, and, you know, you dream of those moments. You know, definitely one of my best 2021 moments was cutting down the nets at Stony Brook with my team, and just, you know, the work that went into that. You know, it was 7 years. You know, Coach McEwen didn't build the program at GW overnight. And so, you know, it's going to take us some time. We have to put in our work. Anything's possible. We're going to keep building it day in and day out. But, you know, we have to dream of those things every single day, and those moments will happen.
I love that you're not shying away from it. And Coach, we look forward to following the journey here through your first trip to the A10. We appreciate the time and best of luck, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Thank you.
All right, when we come back here on Raise High at GW, the newest head coach in Foggy Bottom, Katie REIFERT, the women's volleyball program, joins us after this break. Welcome back to Raise High at GW. I now have the distinct pleasure to welcome back to Foggy Bottom the new volleyball head coach here at GW, Katie REIFERT. Coach, welcome back, I should say, to DC and the GW. How's it feel to be named the head coach at your alma mater?
Incredible. Yeah, it's an incredible honor, and I'm excited to take over.
And we're excited to have you back at Tonic when we're able to be back in person here, the official game for GW fans. It's pretty cool because you're one of just 3 coaches here at GW that also went to GW. You have Coach Ritchie with the baseball program, Coach Jones with men's soccer. What is GW? What does this place mean to you? And what did it mean to come back?
Yeah, I mean, I had an incredible experience as a student athlete at GW. I think it is just a super unique experience that a lot of student athletes don't get to have. And so the opportunity to now come back as a coach and get to coach the student athletes at GW, where I once was, is awesome. So yeah, very excited.
Have you pinched yourself that in 12 years you've gone from playing to coaching? Like, has that hit you yet?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's funny because I don't think when I was a player at GW, I never even thought about coaching. I wanted to keep playing forever. That's, you know, I went on for a short professional career. And so now to actually be here coaching, it's surreal.
Well, how has that prepared you? You mentioned you had your professional level. You played overseas for a little bit, then you've worked your way up the coaching ranks here, most notably at Brown at the Division I level. How has this ladder prepared you for this moment?
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously my experience as a student athlete at GW has prepared me to coach the student athletes that are there now. I know their experience firsthand. Played in the Smith Center, you know, it was awesome. I think that my professional career, you know, just being able to play at such a high level and learn the sport and, you know, how different places play the sport. It was, something that I get to incorporate into my coaching now. And then, just my different coaching experiences from D3 to NAIA to Brown, just having the experience to build programs at different levels. And Brown was an awesome experience where I got to recruit high-level student athletes to an incredibly high academic institution similar to GW. So I'm excited to do the same thing here.
You mentioned the high-level recruiting. You had a top 30 class when you were there. Is that where this program needs to go now? Is that the key now to hit the ground recruiting?
Yeah, I think recruiting is a huge, huge piece. Bringing in high caliber student athletes who have played at a high level in the club realm in high school and bringing them to GW to help contribute to that championship culture is huge. But then also working with the student athletes that are there, establishing a championship culture this spring so that those recruits are ready to come in and hit the ground running when they get here in the fall.
Let's go inside the process here that got you back to GW. What was the phone call like when you heard from our AD Tanya Vogel? What was that phone call like? Take us inside that moment.
Yeah, it was incredible. I think, the phone call started positive. She had a ton of great positive things to say, which made me a little suspicious, like it was going to go negative, but it stayed positive. She offered me the position and I was, like you said before, I had to pinch myself to actually believe that it was happening. But so grateful to Tanya and so happy to be able to have this experience.
And you left quite an imprint on this program when you were here as a player. Do you see that sense of coming back and getting that opportunity to lead the imprint again? That obviously means something to you, right?
Yeah, absolutely. My playing career, like I said, it was an awesome experience. We were able to do some big things while I was there, but we weren't able to bring home the A10 championship. And that's ultimately what I want to do here now, is help build this thing up, get us back to the top of the A10 and bring home a championship. So, yeah.
So you've been recruited to GW as a student athlete. What's the recruiting pitch for Coach REIFERT to come to GW? What is that pitch?
Yeah, as I said before, GW is just such a unique experience, student athlete experience, to be able to live and study in the middle of Washington, D.C., but then also to get to play such high level volleyball in the A10 is unique and unlike any other place. And so I'm excited to sell that to all the student athletes out there. It sold me, 12 years ago. So I'm excited to do that now.
We're excited to have you back on campus. It's always great to bring back one of our own. Coach, we wish you the best of luck in getting to DC. We're figuring out the winter weather at some point, but we look forward to seeing you in the Smith Center this spring and then hitting the floor for the first time in the fall. Congratulations once again.
Thank you. Awesome.
That'll do it for this episode of Raise High at GW. For Coach Critchen, Coach McCombs, and Coach REIFERT, I'm Kevin Burke. We'll talk to you next time. Stay safe, and so long from Foggy Bottom.